improves the employee engagement, the financial performance, and the strategic standing. So, saying gender equity must be a business priority is not an exaggeration. And also, let's not forget, the future comes with the technology. So we really need more women in STEM fields too. As Women in Tech Alliance, we have 4 aims. We aim to drive foundational change in organizational models and support women to be able to excel in underrepresented positions. We want to create opportunities for women's personal development and career growth, establish systems free of stereotypes with a focus on talent, potential, and female education. We also provide a global platform for women to connect, support, and empower transformational leadership. Personally, I believe the Women in Tech Alliance will strengthen Europe's position in transformational technology, as well as bringing women to the forefront of the society. If you are interested in Women in Tech Alliance and you want to know more about us, you can join one of our open networking events, or you can reach out to me or any of my colleagues. Today, our topic is Women in Creative Industries. Despite recent progress in promoting gender equality in cultural and creative sectors, a report by UNESCO reveals that much work still remains. The same report states that women face limited participation in decision-making positions, have fewer opportunities for continuous training, capacity building and networking, less access to resources, and a large wage differences. The same report also says that gender equality was a distant prospect, even though female workers made up 48.1% of the culture and creativity sectors. But, I don't want to mislead you with this number because I have another ratio for you. The female workforce in the gaming industry is 30% worldwide. This confirms women's underrepresentation in some creative industries, particularly those linked to fast-growing technologies, and underrepresentation in others, traditionally more precarious ones. So the subject is important, not only because of its influence in cultural heritage, but also its relation to technology. Today, we will listen valued professionals with deep experience and knowledge with the moderation of dear Svetlana Niamio. I'm certain that the panel will create awareness with a lot of aha moments. Thank you for the opportunity to welcome you all. And I hope you all enjoy the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rana. And now I'd like to give the stage to Maria. Maria is the Director Latin America, as well as Director Environment Alliance for the EU Tech Chamber and the EU Tech Induction. Over to you, Maria.
Thank you. I just want to confirm, can you see my screen right now? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So today I have the privilege to present you who we are as an organization and what we offer to our members and to our partners and sponsors. First of all, I believe that one of the most important things is to understand that the Chamber is a registered NGO that believes that European companies can use their technology in order to enable the benefits of Europe, mankind, and that's why our mission established that technology obliges. Our 3 major goals are that the ones that we believe that are going to help us to reach that specific purpose will be the competitiveness, the sustainability, and growth. Exactly what do we have inside our sections? We have a specific alliance that focus in the territory, as it is the case of the African Alliance, as it is the case of the Latin American Alliance. We do have as well other areas in which we call them impact sections, as it is the case of Women in Tech or Climate Action. We do have as well other sections that specialize in industries and different sectors, as it is the case of IoT, smart cities, and so on. Now, regarding our value proposition, I would like to remind you that we don't offer services as a chamber. What we do is to offer different tools and programs that helps our members to grow, to expand, and as well to make their impact even bigger all around the globe. And to do that is that we offer different programs and different tools that can help you to do that. Some of the examples could be all the events that we do along the year. Those are aimed to facilitate networking, co-working, and as well to understand how you can join forces and how you can work together, maybe with a professional, maybe with another company, why not with the public sector. But as well, we do have programs that are going to help you to understand actually how you can make that impact bigger. We do organize as well those programs in order to recognize your effort to make the difference, as it is the case of the SDGs Awards. And of course, we will be there next to you in order to help you to understand how you can become more sustainable, how you can actually take care of the environment, as is the case of the program with Climate Action Partnership. Of course, that if you would like to get more information, we will be very happy to provide you more details. Just feel free to reach Svetlana, or otherwise you can reach anyone from the team. We will be happy to guide you. This is how our events used to look like before the pandemic. We hope that we will be able to host them once again very, very soon. So we will keep you updated so that you can come and be with us, because believe me, the exchange of culture, the change of ideas, and how you can actually work with someone from the other side of the world is pretty amazing. So we will keep you updated about this activities so that you will be able to join us. Now, about our Build Tech Center, I want to remind you that we have our platform 3-to-1. We are actually delivering a unique experience in which you will find different tools that are quite useful in order to have access to knowledge sharing, to all the events and activities that we do organize online. And more than that, is to be able to access to all those spaces in which you can actually meet those that could be your potential clients, your potential partners. Now, just to remind you some of the programs that we have inside the chamber, we have Build Tech Centers in which we actually support you in the soft landing. Once again, we will be happy to provide you more information, but of course, we will find a different occasion to get deeper. Just feel free to reach us. Once again, I would like to encourage you to keep in touch with us. Please follow our page on LinkedIn. You will be seeing that we are posting all the time about the activities that we run, about those that are joining us, about how we're working together with others as well to reach that purpose, as I was mentioning at the beginning. Now, this is everything from my side. Now, I would like to wish you a very successful webinar, a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Maria. And now I will take back the presenter rights to share the screen on my end. But in the meantime, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Svetlana. I am the Africa Alliance Coordinator, and today I'll be your moderator. I'm calling from Nairobi. And just some house rules. Please, if you do not see the presentation, click on the bottom right screen icon next to the hand signal on your screen. You'll be able to restore presentation when you are sharing the screen. Also, please feel free to use the public chat function to pose your questions and interact with the panelists here as well. And finally, now to introduce the panel, we have Dr. Beatrice Bischoff, who is a PR and marketing professional. She attended Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich. Her areas of study were political science, constitutional law, and literature sciences, and graduated with economic and social history as an additional subject. Until 1996, she was a member of the managing board of the company of her family. Afterwards, she completed her education as a TV journalist at the Catch Media Group. Since that time, she's working as a TV journalist, political scientist, and author. She is a member of the managing board of the Foreign Affairs Association's Munich, columnist at the European Weimar Media Group, member of the board of trustees at the Kavala International University in Minnesota, USA, EUTech, the European Technology Chamber, board member, Women in Tech Alliance, German consultant of Mohammed bin Rashid Aerospace Hub in Dubai. we have Patience Chindong, who is the co-founder and CEO of Euro-Africa Link Netherlands. Patience is a communication and a project management specialist trained in Cameroon and at the, I'm going to slaughter this one, Wageningen University and Research, the world's leading agricultural university. Patience is the co-founder and CEO of Euro-Africa Link, with services that are threefold: bridging the market gap between African farmers and European importers, consumers, with a keen eye on closing the gender gap in business; sourcing growth funds for agribusinesses and smallholders, as well as providing counseling and bridging of high caliber African students, professionals seeking to study in accredited agri-tech universities and institutions in Europe. She will leave the link to her website in the public chat function. And Comfort Smithson, who is the founder and CEO of Letasi Design Studio, East Africa and UK. Born and raised in Uganda, Comfort later moved to Tanzania and trained as an architect, which is a big part of her design and creative journey. She later moved to Germany to study for a master's in urban management. She's now settled and based in the UK, managing a creative mompreneur life. Comfort describes herself as a multi-passionate entrepreneur with a specific passion for promoting creative talents in Africa in the design niche. Her time spent in the various travels for personal work, studies, has also given her unique experience that she has merged to be able to establish successful businesses and social enterprises like Letasi Design Studio, both in UK and Uganda. So welcome all, dear panelists. And to start with Dr. Beatrice, I'll share my screen. And as I mentioned, to restore presentation, please click on the bottom right screen icon. I'll mute myself, Dr. so that I can minimize background noise from my side. When you see your presentation up, please take the floor, okay?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. I'm talking about women in creative industries with the core point of Germany. And please start the presentation. I did a lot of research. No, that's not me. This is me. I did a lot of research in statistics via Official Statistica and other official figures and statistics. And I started with 2 steps. First step, women in economy, in core. Here I found that especially as startup founders, as women in IT sectors, in self-owned SMEs, and in management boards are the lowest figures. So you see that technology and the higher position is not the case for acquiring for women in the moment. Yeah, they are underrepresented in these areas. Then I took over what is the definition of creative industries. In the term creative industries expands the concept of cultural industries was in former times used, which covers industries from architecture to publishing and include this. Now the new thing is it is included the industries of software, gaming and advertising. This means that creativity and culture as an economic factor makes it international comparatively, because the word creative industry is used internationally, and we use cultural industries, but in addition with software, gaming and advertising, it is the same then, so we can compare it. Then this is the difference in it, and in cultural industries, and also in creative industries, we see that the number of enterprises is growing. Cultural and creative industry sector is a growing sector. It is second to the car, the automotive industry, the machine industry. So this is a very important thing, that it is a growth sector since 15 years. The proportion of women in this sector is higher than in the economy as a whole. That means the presentation of women in the economy as a whole is 46%, and in creative industry is 49%. So this sounds good from the first sight, but the strong growth of the cultural and creative industry is mainly due to the technical sector, especially the gaming industry. Here we have a problem because as far as women are concerned, it is clear that women are heavily underrepresented in the technical sectors, as we learned in gaming and software. In the founding of startups, they are often only part-time founders and are rarely seen in management positions. The law of tax companies has improved the average somewhat, but not entirely. The proportion is now 13.54%. That means an increase of 32%. Women are therefore in a rather lower spectrum of earnings and growth industries. That means in technology, 16% of women in IT and communication technology, 5% founders against 83% of pure female teams. Also, they are on a more equal level in education, means it's not the problem of education. The women are on the same level of education, but it's on the way up to the top is the problem for women. This is more difficult for them. What can we do in this case? What instruments are available? Proposed is networking and programs, mentoring and coaching. Examples are for startups, there are some initiatives from the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Protection, like the network Female Entrepreneurship, or Project Future from Berlin, also from KfW, that's the banking institution that finances startups and the founding of founders. This is www.existenzgründerinnen.de. Also, Women in Tech Schülership programs are on the list, and workshops such as Coding for Tomorrow. The EU Commission initiative Women Tech EU has Exist and Horizon Europe as research and innovation programs. Also important is women as role models, showing women to complete the male founder stories in the innovation world. If we look back in the history, the big founders were Ford, Edison, Gates, Zuckerberg, but where are the women? Also important are women-specific co-working spaces. Here I have an own project that is a hub model for the Korean Peace Zone, for instance. I proposed where women of both Korean states can work together and produce a cultural good, for instance, with modern techniques, modern technologies, with clean tech technologies, and also use modern instruments of financing and networking. This is a proposal I have in the frame of my Paths of Foreign Policy ecosystem approach. So this is an example we can do to strengthen the impact of the women in a society. What is the gain of higher participation of women in business? What's important why women should be in business? They create more flexible and hybrid employment models. High diversity of business models and business concept, a better content. For instance, in gaming industry was impacted by men has only ego shooter and this kind of games, for instance. So women tell deeper stories and more diverse characters, emotional and social. Digitalization is also the other way around an important opportunity for women. It makes working life easier and opens up career paths. Women can reconcile family and career through more flexible working hours. With their own business ideas, it is possible to venture into self-employment in remote areas and at flexible working hours. So women can start a business from the table in the kitchen and become famous. Some of the women in the past did without technology, but now we have the possibility of technology. We remember maybe the story of Estee Lauder. She created her first creams in her kitchen, but now we can do this with the technology. Technology helps us in remote districts and remote areas to create a business, and this is a special opportunity for women. So these are the opportunities we have, and I think we should push these opportunities that every woman is possible to get her own entrepreneur, to get her own owner of her thing, and also to be equal in the payment spectrum as the men are. Thank you for listening. We are through. I didn't hear anybody.
About that, it takes a while to no, it takes a while to mute myself and come back to the main screen.
Okay.
I love what you
Svetlana.
said about female co-working space. I'm looking forward to that, and the hub that you're working on. I can see from the home screen that Wolfgang has raised hand. Wolfgang, after the initial panel introduction, we will have space for discussion. So just I'll keep you in mind at when I open the floor for discussion, and then you can bring your question or comment to the floor. Okay. Now we'll move over to Comfort. And Comfort, just as I did with Beatrice, I'm going to mute myself, share my screen, and when sorry, I'm so sorry, it's Patience. Sorry about that. So Patience, when I mute myself and share the screen, please take the stage, okay?
Yeah. So good morning, everyone. And I am really just so happy that you are able to share your morning with us today. You could have been doing so many other things, but you decided to join us. So I am really very happy for that. So I am going to give a presentation about women in creative industry, and I am going to talk about our industry, EuroAfricLink. So I am the co-founder of EuroAfricLink, and we are based here in Wageningen in the Netherlands. I am also a board member of the African Alliance of the African chapter EUTech. So that is a little bit introduction about myself. So next slide, please. So let's talk about EuroAfricLink. As I earlier said, we are based in Wageningen. Wageningen is in the province of Gelderland here in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands and Wageningen is actually the center of agricultural research here in the Netherlands, because you have great institutions like the Wageningen University and Research. So who are our clients? Our clients are basically agri producers, African producers, farmers, exporters, EU importers and buyers, agri-tech companies, investors, local organizations, anybody that is really involved in the supply chain or in the agri sector. These are our clients. So what do we actually do? So EuroAfricLink actually connects African agribusinesses with European entrepreneurs and investors in business. Our core service is actually the market linkages. And as you also already heard, Svetlana also mentioned the other areas that we are really involved in, like growth funds and linking students from Africa to Europe. But the core service that we really are into is the market linkages. And what do we do actually with that is that we link African producers with European buyers and European importers that actually source product from Africa. So we try to make them meet each other. So our focus is actually to encourage women and also to close the gender gap. And when we talk about the gender gap here, we actually look at businesses that are women-led or businesses that are men-led, but they have women in it. How do we look at that? We look at it in such a way that when women are working in these industries or in the production sector, they shouldn't get less salary for what they produce, or they shouldn't work more hours because they are women. So this is something that we try to breach when we are working with these producers exporting to Europe. So the core idea behind this organization is that we want to create a win-win situation between African producers and European buyers in such a way that everybody is happy at the end. And as I said, our passion is greater inclusion of women in this business, as well as young people, because as you know, Africa is really made up of very young and very energetic population, and we want to really get them involved in trade, something that can really bring benefits to them instead of really depending on developmental help. Next slide, please. So what are the challenges? I will first of all address the challenges that actually really motivated us to get involved in these market linkages. Is that African producers, they actually want to grow and develop this, their horticulture sector, anything which is plant-based, and sell this product to international market and beyond. It's the case of EU, AU, but however, there are some problems. Why? Because they have this quality product that is actually that is really needed here in Europe. But how can you get this product from Africa to Europe? That was the challenge. And why is that so? Is because there are really so many regulations that are involved when you want to get involved in import-export. For example, I'm producing my avocado. Is it the right fit for the for the European market? For example, in terms of the standards, in terms of quality, which is the biggest issue when it comes to food. Is it what the buyers are actually looking for? How do you go about branding your product in such a way that it really meets European standards? Again, how do you even get buyers for your product? Are they even looking for this product? And then how do you also ensure a regular trade in such a way that when a buyer buys from you, he keeps buying from you always, and in such a way you make profit? And again, how do you use technology in order to improve the quality of your product or add value to your product, to your production process, things like that? So that was actually the issue behind all of this, that we actually settled down to see how we can resolve this problem. Next slide, please. So what is then our solution? Our solution is this. We start first because at the beginning, we were just linking producers with buyers. But then we realized that with these challenges, at times, some producers, they don't even know whether this product actually fits. When a buyer said, okay, I want to buy your avocado, can you send me the product specification? They are like asking, what does that mean? What are the regulations? All these things. So we decided now to go first, start teaching the producers on how to export to Europe. How do you brand your product in such a way that it meets the European norms? So we teach them how to grow and develop their business and export abroad. So we prepare them for this process. When we prepare them, we help them actually tell them where to get like certification or the documentation or all those paperwork that is really needed in order to export abroad. So in such a way that when you're planting, say, your avocados or your habanero pepper, you are already putting this requirements in place, so much so that when the pepper is ready, you are also ready for export. It's not when you already have the product and then you start looking for the paperwork, because at times it really do take time. So we also connect with producers, with the ministries, as well as the producers. They can also come to us directly, or the buyers can actually also ask us, we want this product, and then we go looking for producers that are really into this product. So we collect the product, then we serve also as off-takers for this product for the producers, so as to ease the task for them. At times, we also send this product directly to the buyers, but at times the buyers want us to bring the product right to their warehouse, which we do. So, and then after that, we actually, so now the problem also with this is that most of the buyers, they want to have the product right here in Europe to be able to buy it, so much so that it reduces the paperwork for them. So actually now we are lobbying for partnership and collaboration in such a way that we can be able to bring this product from Africa to Europe, so that it is already in Europe for the buyers to collect. And when they collect, we send the money directly to the producers' cooperative account or wherever they want us to pay. So this is our solution. Next slide, please. So actually, when it comes to women, what do we want to do? We want to move from, like picture A, you can see how they sell their produce at this particular most at times in Africa. But we want to move them from point A to B, where you produce in this massive way, targeting a particular market like the EU market, and then to point C, where you see the packaging is just amazing. And this is what we are looking for to enter new markets, especially the European market, where the standards are really very high. Next slide, please. So what are then our recommendations? In order to access new markets like the EU, what is necessary? Producers, for example, they need buyers and retailers for their product. Also, what is really very important for them to even reach this stage is that they need information, they need skills and knowledge to do that. And what can the EU do in this particular situation, because we also provide that, is that EU can also just help by opening their market more to African product. They say they do, but actually it's not the case. So they should open their product more for African product, especially if they meet the criteria. When it comes to growth funds for women, because actually starting a business, you need at least a little bit of fund to be able to start in some cases. So what is actually necessary is that they need co-finance in developing local breeding techniques or even technologies to be able to start this business. So what can the EU do to assist these women in this aspect is like organize inclusive funding opportunities that will take into consideration women and men at the same time. And then when it comes to partnership with African agribusiness ecosystem. So what is actually necessary is technology for value addition, for production, for logistics, for storage. So what can EU do? EU can collaborate with other African agri-tech companies and also university in order to look for a solution that will profit both continents and to encourage the smart trade in such a way that you have win-win at the end. Next slide, please. So to conclude, I am asking the women, but also my question is also directed to the men, some of the men in this group, because when you talk about gender and you don't include the men, then the story is not complete. So what is actually stopping you to take that next step to start your own business? You don't need all the huge sum of money or big offices to start. It's just, first of all, an idea. You look around you, look at the solution that you can resolve, and resolving that problem is then what will actually bring you this financial independence, because you'll be selling that solution to some people that need it. I think now is actually the time for you to do this because of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. You can take opportunity of this, look around you of the opportunity. I think go for it. Don't really hesitate. Do it. Even if it doesn't work out, you must have learned something from it. So this is our contact. how to get in touch with us, how to learn more about what we do at EuroAfricLink. We are looking for collaboration and partners to be able to ensure this idea. And I really want to just thank you all for listening. Thank you.
Your patience, very motivating. The time to do it is now. What is stopping you from doing it? You don't need a big office. And what I like also from your presentation is that to bring gender equality, you have to bring the men into the room as well. But also additionally, what you're doing with the women and in agriculture, you've said a very important fact that by the time your product is ready, your exportation also process should be ready. It's not that you wait for your harvesting and then you start looking for how to export or how to reach the markets. Very vital. Thank you so much for your presentation. And now, Comfort, I'm going to mute myself as before, and when you see your slides up, please take the stage.
Right. Thank you very much, Svetlana. Thank you for panelists. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be here and really, really looking forward to this discussion. So just to get straight into it, as you see, my name is Mrs. Comfort Badara Smithson. I'm Ugandan, as I was introduced. I am trained as an architect, but now pretty much moving more into more of other creative sides of design. As Beatrice was making her presentation and talking about the possibility of starting a business at home, it just reminded me of exactly where I was when I started Letasi. And that is really where it all started from. And that's why in my introduction, as Svetlana read, I proudly say I am a mompreneur. I'm a mother. And my little ones, I still have, my youngest is 2 and the older one is 4. So I'm still very much quite busy with that. And that's why, but I'm still able to run a successful business that is running both in the UK and in Uganda, in East Africa now, actually. So it is when I was slight question. So next slide, please. So yes, what do I do exactly? So Letasi Design Studio is pretty much a social enterprise. It started out from my love for design and the creative side of fashion, because it's promoting and supporting East African batikas. As you know, many people know about batik fabrics from Asia, and from West Africa it's probably called adire, more from that side. But not so many people know about the fact that East Africa in itself also has a version of batik fabric. And even I myself, about 6 years ago, I did not know that. So when I started my fashion frenzy and love for design, I was focusing on African print, the Ankara and all that, until one day on social media, again, now this is where the beauty of technology comes in. I just found on Instagram this young lady who was posting about these fabrics that she's made and whatnot. And she just posted the fabric. And I thought, oh, this is a bit different from what I've been doing. So what exactly is this? So I got in touch with her immediately. And she, and this is when I was based in Tanzania doing my undergrad. And we got in touch and she showed me the fabrics and she says, yes, I actually make this by myself. And that was the beginning for me. I keep saying that was my turning point, no turning back. I've never looked at, the other kind of African fabrics again, because I felt this is something that needs to be shared. This needs to be put out there. This needs to be, people need to know about that. So as soon as I moved to the UK to, start my new life here. And I thought, but how can I be able to still continue what was started, because I felt this was something that needs to be out there. And yeah, right on my kitchen table, as Beatrice pointed out, I just started to say, you know, let me use, because I did buy a bit of fabrics from her, and I said, let me use this. And I opened, you know, an Etsy shop, and I just started to sell the fabrics there and then. And that is pretty much where Letasi started. And so it did start out as just me, you know, putting these fabrics on Etsy to sell and just to do something different. But from then on, it also became a thing, because I'm not the one who's making these fabrics. I was adamant about making sure that these batikas and these creatives get their work known. Like, I just wanted, that was, for me, was everything. And so I had to obviously find specific ones. And the more I kept finding one, and I found another, and I found another, and now I've grown this network of batikas who are actually thriving and doing really beautiful work. And Letasi evolved from just being the selling fabrics to now becoming a full social enterprise that is basically the bridge or the gap between the batikas and the international market. And that's how we're able to, you know, to be able to showcase the various batiks that these people are making, and also the different products. Now, when it comes to the products, again, going back to, I'm in the UK, but I still want to promote the artisans and the creatives in East Africa or Uganda. How are we going to be able to do that? So I thought, yes, while I could be able to make some, I did make some samples on my own, but I thought, no, there's a very good fashion designer in Uganda who would make really beautiful things with these batik fabrics. Their work needs to be seen as well. Their talent needs to be seen. There's a really good bag maker in Uganda as well. There's someone who makes beautiful earrings using old fabrics and that kind of thing. Why not get all these people to create their own things? So you're promoting the batikas, you're promoting all the other creatives in the industry. And so that is pretty much what Letasi Design Studio does. And so that's what I find very strong and passionate, but it's something that I couldn't have done that without, you know, without just being the tech. And like I said, all this has happened while I'm here in the UK, occasionally going back to Uganda and East Africa to meet all these people. But also what has happened is, in my bridging that gap, I do not stand and say, this is Letasi's work. No, I actually independently promote the batika. So when I put the fabrics on the website, I said, this was made by Dunstan. This was made by, you know, by Agatha. This was made by Hawa. This was made by Beatrice. So each of them get their own individual presence. So that is something that I felt passionate about. And being able to known, and their learning processes of getting their products out in the international market. Of being Letasi, they're doing it on their own. Customers are reaching out to them and reaching out to it. And that is what I do with Letasi. Here in the UK, of course, as an architect, I still do practice interior styling, but where it comes differently is the fact that while I'm at home, I'm still able to serve clients internationally, because all the design work can be done online. Now, the difference here is, while everyone would think interior design is just strictly, I have to walk in, which I do sometimes, I have to walk into someone's house and see what they are. But the beauty of how different it is now is that we've got a system, and I've got a system now where basically I get it, it's a co-creation with the client, because my theory and my method that I use for interior design is that we're using what you have, and I want you to fully understand that this is your home and this is something that should reflect you. So we co-create the space. So even when we're having our online consultations and our sessions, I send them a piece. I pretty much teach them how to be interior designers in their own way. So I basically send them just pieces of, how do you measure this room, so that I'm able to create, so that I'm able to show you how to rearrange the furniture, or how do you take a picture of this room so I understand this is what's happening here and this is what has happened. And that has really been a game changer for me, because I did wonder for a long time, how am I able to balance, you know, being a mom and yet still having this passion for interior design. And once I started down that route, I've been finding clients who are willing and excited about co-creating their spaces has been a real game changer. So that's also what I do with the interior styling. And the latest thing that I've just sort of right off the social enterprise of Letasi, which has developed, is the more I started to do what I was doing with Letasi, the more and more I started to get inquiries from other creatives or young upcoming entrepreneurs in Africa, because I'm not exactly that old. But they were just intrigued, and because I don't use anything special, I still just use social media as much as I can. My work doesn't make it seem like it's so far out of their reach that it's so special. Like I have like high-end versions of, which I should, but I also like to keep it relatable. That's the key thing. So in doing that, I started to get a lot of interest from young creatives, and so very soon, coming soon, I'm actually going to be creating the African Creative CEO program, and I should actually add the word African Creative Digital CEO, because that is pretty much how I built my brands, and I've shown them that is what they can do, because even though they're in Uganda, even though they're in Tanzania, there's nothing stopping it, and patients clearly said it. The pandemic showed us that there's nothing that can stop them. There's nothing that can stop you. So why shouldn't you be able to do it? So that's what we're going to do very soon. Next slide, please. So yes, the challenges that I faced mainly is the cultural setups. So because they're very distinct, clearly distinct areas. I mean, the way that, for example, something quite as simple as here in Europe or in the UK, emails are every way of communicating. Back home, it's WhatsApp and things like that. So how do you and then also things like payment transactions. Back home, it's mobile money, MTN, Airtel, whichever it is. And here it's Visa, credit cards and all these things. So it was a bit of a challenge to figure out how to navigate, and also for the batikas who we are training, for them to be able to learn and figure out how to be able to navigate that payment for their international clients. So on one hand, I did have to set up a payment gateway for them. So they'll go through that through me to be able to help them continue with their transactions. But they've also started to learn how to use other, the various available ones, because there's Flutterwave now, and I believe World Remit. So there are different means which they didn't know existed, and yet for those who are living in the diaspora, it's been happening for such a long time. But also just figuring out how to, said from that level of doing it, doing it to that UK level and that kind of thing. They've been eager enough to actually learn that, if you want to succeed through this, you will have to step up your game. So that has been really a good thing. And then also finding the right support to help them leverage their USP. I think a challenge that I found when I was starting myself is that there's so much noise and so many products that are out there that people don't seem to, that you sort of keep jumping from one thing to the other. And yet for the batikas, and I've had a few batikas go off the rails, if that's the word I could use, because they felt like, oh, no one is listening to the story of batik. No one is actually seeing the uniqueness of it. No, and they just sort of give up on it. And yet, if there's anything that I've learned in my short entrepreneurial time, it is finding that USP, your unique selling point, and your story, and sticking to it and being able to translate that in any possible way, shape, or form. So that has been something that I've been trying to show the batikas, and it's just taken a bit of time, but that was a challenge, and they're getting there. And then passing on the knowledge back home in a way that is digestible. Again, sort of things of how methods for them to communicate. Some clients use email, so they do have to get into getting email addresses and that kind of thing. Some, like the way they have to interact between the two contexts, the two continents, and they do need to learn how to adjust to that. Some clients, for example, would say, oh, but my fabrics arrived and they were not cut straight to the standard that we expected them. So that kind of, how do you pass on the knowledge for them to understand that it's not just just something where they can do it the same way they do it back home, where, you know, sort of you're a tailor and you're going to take someone's work and stay with it for weeks, and yet they need it at a specific time. So passing on that knowledge in a way that is digestible has been quite tricky, but we've managed to get through. So technology wise, it's very much based on WhatsApp. So we have this WhatsApp group of the batikas, and, you know, I generally keep passing on any information that they have. But it's really been a situation of meeting them where they are, because overwhelming them again sometimes with all of this, just it's been it takes, I've lost a few because of that. But then again, you can't exactly help everyone, but I just do my part and we share what we can. And those who understand why they really, and they're passionate about what they're doing, we stick through and we manage to get where we are. Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, so my recommendations, I think I've briefly mentioned a few of those. It's just helping them to really helping create more awareness about this. So creating awareness, both, by the way, on both ends, both to, in the case again, but the batikas, to really help them understand that if they're working with the international market, there's a quality that they need to work with. But as I said, being Letasi as Letasi, we're bridging the gap with those who are the clients and the customers. So I've been very, very specific and intentional about letting the customers know that this is how the batikas work. So this is their situation. This is where they're coming from. So as much as they expect a certain level, they also need to realize that this is their tradition. This is how some things are done. So it's not a matter of, you know, we have to meet where we are. So it's creating awareness on both ends, both for the customers and for the batikas. And again, it's basically just coming down to communication, as we'll see later. Support, very much needed support. We've needed to put in some grants to some funding, basically, to help train more batikas, because now, again, this is something, it's a craft that we're trying to make sure it doesn't die. So in Uganda, they're not even, I think there's a handful of batikas. It's mainly something happening in Tanzania, but Uganda and Kenya are very eager about it. So it's something that we're trying to create more support. So it really is intentionally East African. So any support in basically helping them with their systems, whether it's creating payment gateways for them to understand how it's easier for them to make, because the craft itself is very manual, but there's things like training, as far as UK wanting to learn how to do batiks. And we've had 3 groups at the moment who have actually learned batiking online through the batikas from Tanzania. So it was very interesting setup, but it's also that kind of support where it was a bit tricky to get them there, but the more support we can provide, whether technology or even just teaching them how to use whatever systems they can to be able to translate this, because we did it via Zoom at that time. But I think, you know, better setups could have been done. I believe we learned so much from that, but it's also that kind of support, because I feel like there's just so much potential for it anyway. Again, communication in the sense that both the customers and those who are receiving our products or receiving what we're offering need to understand that this is basically how something is set up, and this is how systems work in this context. And the batikas themselves also need to realize that this is how systems work in this context. So it's a matter of really making sure, I think everything has been based very much on communication. So helping both parties understand where they are and how to meet in the middle and be able to make sure that this whole system or the whole brand or the whole business actually does work. And then on the part of collaborations, I would say it's down from something as simple as the creatives themselves collaborating with each other. So in this case, Letasi has been the one sort of saying, okay, you're a batika, I want you to connect with this fashion designer, and I want you to work together to create this product that we're going to put out there. But there's also that in between among themselves, because the batikas keep asking, but how do I reach an interior designer who's based here to use my fabrics in their work? So it's just teaching about the power of collaboration. And that's just on the little ground level. On a bigger level, I would say collaboration in the sense of, let's talk about shipping and delivery, because that's something that's really been a challenge for the batikas and for us as for our products. But we had one moment when we asked, because now we use DHL and you know, Aramex and those kind of things, but we also do have local local flight companies like KQ and Rand Air. And something that we're trying to work on so much is to collaborate with them and help them support the creative industries in East Africa, or at least in Africa. Why not? Why don't they open up a section of their cargo to be able to, you know, sort of at least support the creatives in a way with whatever price it is? If DHL is doing it, if so many other flights internationally are doing it, why isn't KQ or Rand Air doing something about that to be able to promote their very own? Because this is something that if we don't do it together, it's, you know, we're supposed to be growing as a continent. So why not support each other? Next slide. Yeah. So that was all that I had to share from my end. It was very much based on really what I've experienced personally in my time, and as you know, as an entrepreneur, and my interactions with the creative industry in Africa, and being in that unique position of actually learning more of the really small business level of, as a small business owner myself, and as someone coming from, you know, Africa to Europe, and how to be able to interact on that on both grounds. So I'm grateful that I've been able to do that through Letasi. There's still so much to grow, and I've learned so much already from all the presentations that have gone before me. And if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to listen. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Comfort. If we are to do it, we have to do it together. I like that you're using digital space to mentor, to train, and to conduct business across countries, as well as to lift women back in East Africa. And now I'm going to open the floor for panel discussion. Our audience here today, please, you can use the public chat function, which is on the upper left of your screen, to pose questions to the panelists as well as interact with each other. I'll start with some questions that I have right now. And Wolfgang, I have not forgot you. This will be the perfect time to raise your question as well. Earlier you had raised your hand. I'll very much want to learn what you wanted to put across. And so maybe a question to the panelists from your presentation, maybe to ask, why do you think there are not so many women in the creative industries? Go ahead and unmute or raise your hand to answer, or just start talking, either way.
Okay, maybe I go first with that one. Comfort, it's just amazing what you do, and I can really identify myself of this role, like linking Africa and Europe. So why are women not actually into the creative industries? I personally think it's because of the beliefs and the questions that women actually do ask themselves. Beliefs like, for example, I don't have the money to start. I don't think I will succeed. I'm just a woman. I am just a housewife. I have not been to school. My English is not perfect. All these negative beliefs. And then the questions also they ask themselves, especially when they are stressed, like, I know I will mess this up. I know this won't come out good. I know it will be a failure at the end. I saw this and this started with this same company and failed. I think I'll fail as well. So they generalize the whole situation, and then they start creating these images and pictures in their heads. And so when opportunities comes, they just delete. They just distort the information. So when it comes also to policy, I can't really say 100% that policy also, policy has something to do with it, because in some institutions, like when you see in Africa, when you look at the constitution, it's really very clearly stated, even at the workplace, or it is stated that, you can go ahead, we'll encourage you when you want to go into this creative industry. But in reality, is that so? When you take, for example, Europe, it is clearly stated, white and black, that there should not be any work discrimination between the woman and the man. Of course, in industries, they preach that, but it happens anywhere, because women and men, they work the same, they do the same job, but the women get less paid than the men. Why is that so? Simply because they have the powers to do so, something like that sort. But then I want to say, women as well as men should start asking themselves the right questions. Do I really need all this connection, this big office, this huge amount to start this business? I don't think so. Look around you, the problems that are really, there are a lot of problems. For example, in Africa, when it comes to unemployment in the agri-tech space, you can dive into one of these, something that you have passion for, in such a way that when you start, because the beginning is always very difficult, because you still get to be known, people don't know you yet. So when you start, even when that money is not coming, because of your passion and your determination to make it work, you will find a way. You will find a way, even if nobody shows you, you will create your own way and you'll make it work. So you start asking yourself the right questions. What can I do today to help me move towards my goal? Who can I connect with today? For example, how many of us are in this discussion today? Why don't you make it upon yourself that after this discussion, or I will just go to LinkedIn and connect maybe to Dr. Beatrice, connect to Comfort, connect to Patience, connect to Swelana, and ask, how can I be part of the EU Tech? Join, be in a like-minded group of people who think like you, who aspire for something, who are going somewhere. Look for your role model and emulate what they are doing. Ask questions. Don't feel shy. When you create this positive belief and image around yourself, it really empowers you to take that step that you really thought you were not able to. Being here today, that is also just what I encourage myself. Which message can I write today on social media to showcase my company or talk to people about what I do? How can I do more? What steps? So I make a planning of step. What can I do? Where can I collaborate with others to help me? So when you start asking this right question and forming the right beliefs in your head, you will be surprised to see your potential come to life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patience. And then now to Dr. Beatrice, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, I want to add from the German perspective, or from the perspective I know, it is about that it's also necessary that we find the financial instruments to help startup founders, female startup founders, to get their job done. It is important that they get more access to the capital that they need. This is one important thing. Also, we have to arrange and to communicate with the financial instruments, with finance institutions, and so on. So therefore, this is a part of my approach, is that we have to combine the founders, we have to combine the technology, we have to combine the financial instruments and the networking. This is important. These are the important substances we need to create a perfect entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur, of course, also, because as I saw in the figures, it is in creative industries there are a lot of female. As I saw, it's the biggest amount of female. Participants are in the creative industries, but not in the higher paid sequences, not in the technology sequences, not in the founding sequences. So the women are in the lower parts of it. So therefore, it is important that we strengthen these women to get the courage to move up, to get the possibility to move up, to enter this startup section, to enter this SME section, to become an entrepreneur and to do their job, and to get also the support from their families. What's important, of course, from the financial institutes and from the society with the networking possibilities. That's really important to get this. And the woman has to really create the courage to say, what is this, what I want most? What is my main interest? What I want to do, and do this, because you have to do that what you like to do, what the passion is in. So then you're good. What you like to do it, and try to go on. And yeah, maybe let's do some creation of this hub models. I suggested already. I have in place in Africa, but I also strive forward to put it in every other sector. We can do it online, as Comfort really described in a very, very nice method. I like this concept of Comfort very much. And this is the way we can do it, and we will be successful.
Thank you very much, Dr. Beatrice, for that. It is very intriguing to find that the problems that women face in one part of the world, women face in another part of the world. You've just given us a German context, which maybe even someone from India, if you hadn't mentioned the German part, will have related to that and said, oh, yeah, that happens in India as well. So, Comfort, you'd raised your hand. Please take this.
Yeah, just to literally combine exactly what Dr. Beatrice has said and what Patience has pointed out, because Dr. Beatrice brought out a very interesting thing about the facts and the figures about the fact that there's those in the creative industry are on a lower scale than those in the tech and whatnot. And that is something that I know is very also big coming from an African setting. But I don't even think it's just an African setting. It's a general thing where people generally think about the creative industry being, just something for fun. It's a hobby. You're not a doctor, you're not an IT person, you're not the computer person. But one thing that I'm very I've found, and I'm very intentional about now, is that creativity is just as important as any other job, because it's sort of it's a system where it's like yin and yang. One cannot exist without the other. Without creative people coming with creative solutions. First of all, let's talk about just clothing. How would you go to office if you don't have a nicely made suit? And that is from the creatives. They're the ones who are making the fashion and that kind of thing. Just something as basic as that. So I think the creatives themselves and the women, this is where Patience was talking about, how much do you believe in yourself? You need to stand at a point and show the world that being a creative is just as important as being a doctor, or as being anyone else out there who's in the supposedly higher ranked positions or higher ranked jobs, because the doctors are just as passionate about saving lives as you are just as passionate about creating whatever it is that you're creating and putting it out there. Because otherwise, no one would be consuming it. No one would be consuming your products. But someone out there wants what you're producing. Someone out there wants what you're creating. So we need to, as creatives, we really need to stand in that position and stand tall and proud. And also, this is where the showcasing comes. How do we communicate it? How do we communicate our story? Are we communicating the fact that, for example, in the case of batik, this is something from generations, traditions from generations. Do we want to kill our generation of traditions right now? Do we want to kill them? Okay, fine. If that's the situation and we want to include tech in it, we say, fine, why not make the samples and then take it to the printers to recreate a mass version of it? That's still collaborating and that's still working, but that is still showing that the creative industry is still just as important as all the other sort of high-end jobs. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Comfort. And now I'll invite our audience in the public chat. Please also, can you relate to the challenges that women face? We have seen examples from Germany and Africa. Where are you joining us from today? I'd like to hear your views as well on these challenges that women face in the creative industries, and also to support in getting solutions to overcome them. Now, maybe also another question before I take the questions in the public chat. How can we leverage the power of collaborations to achieve more in the creative industry?
I think I'll go with that one first. I think the beginning of leveraging collaborations is, well, it starts with asking, really, and doing as much research and finding out about where, for example, if you want to work with someone who is in, I don't know, computing or something like that, it all starts with a discussion. It all starts with finding out where are all these, and networking is really big. So once you start networking and you realize, okay, this is someone who I know will push my products. This is someone who I know will help me get to the next level. So even if it's funding, you go to, for example, whatever funding institute it is, and you know they are the ones, send an email to them and ask, or even just go to their website and find out. But we need to make that step to be able to start making collaborations. Or if you know this, even something as simple as your family, if you know your family can be able to, you know your sister can do this, or your brother can do this, or even your uncle can do this, why not get in touch with them and ask them, okay, you have this skill, I have this skill, why don't we put our forces together and actually create something and put it out there? Because it's those little steps that actually get you out there, because you just need to start, you need to create something. And if you can't do it on your own, get help, and don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing they can say is no. So, but at least once you put yourself out there, that's where collaboration starts. It always starts with that one step of asking. Could be something as simple as just sending us a text message. You see people interacting all the time. You see people even on LinkedIn. Send a message on LinkedIn and say, hello, introduce yourself. This is me, and da 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 da. Leverage that. You've seen someone out there. You'll be very surprised how many people in those high positions are desperate to give back what they have, what they've learned, what they've understood, but they just don't know how to get there. And here you are thinking, oh, I'm too small, I can't reach out. They probably have a secretary or something. If you find the secretary who responds back, and I still want to get in touch with Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, but it just starts with that, send the message or send a message, just communicate, get in touch somehow, somewhere, just start. Because then that's when you'll know. Because some people also get to the point where they complicate it so much and think, oh, to be able to get in touch with this institution, I need to send a proposal and wait for the email to come back and that kind of thing. Yes, you could, but why not just send that first email to ask, I would love to get in touch with this. What is the procedure? What is the step that I need to do? Or just send a LinkedIn message of introducing yourself. Is this something that you're interested in? Like I said, the worst thing they can say is no. And sometimes if they say no, it's not really no. You've just presented it wrong. But yeah, that is how I strongly believe you can really leverage collaboration. Because I believe very much, my brands have grown because of collaboration, even the interior design section, because as much as I do all my interior design work online, there are cases where I've had to get in touch with a local interior designer. For example, the cases when I have projects in Uganda and I'm still here based in Uganda, I get in touch with the local interior designer in Uganda and say, okay, now we've done this process and ABC, da, da, da. Now I need you to go on site and actually look at what's happening with this and this and this. So yeah, it's all possible.
Communication is key. And on that note, please, panelists, I'll invite you to leave your contact details in the public chat section in case there's no, there won't be a question answered here today. Someone can reach out to you, and also your LinkedIn contacts, as Patient says. Very important to link up and connect. I'm going to go ahead and get a question from the public chat here. Maybe it has been answered already. I think Dr. Beatrice has already answered this one, but it was addressed to you. Mark Soros says, Dr. Beatrice, kindly advise on how our women can get over the challenges of funding.
Yeah, women can get to the funding. This was an apply I did to the funding institutions originally to create instruments that are possible and necessary for women. This is very much important, but there are existing some, as I already mentioned, for the KfW. And this is in my projects, this is our approach to reach out to funding instruments for our farmers in Africa, for instance, but also for the women in Korea and somewhere. We are building these hubs around the topic. Yeah, we build these hubs around the topic means sustainability, of course, in the core. But beneath that, it could be agriculture, it could be whatever topic. It could be women creating a cultural product, could be whatever. We create these hubs, virtual and in reality, around a special topic, and create and put in all these instruments that are needed. From the funding side, we try to find out funding instruments for these people that are needed, especially made for them. And we also find out for insurances, for instance, what's also important for farmers in Africa, and for all the people that are not in a system like we have here, our legal insurance system. But these are components we create and find out together to build these hubs also on virtual base, to help the people to get this start in the SME project, because this are the important factors that is needed for everyone. But if you are alone, if you're single, you try out to find a collection or a network for your topic. Means if you are a designer for fashion, then try to find the institution for fashion design somewhere, or the club of fashion designers or something like that. A network can help you in this case very well.
Network can help you in this case very well. I couldn't have put it any better.
Oh, you check.
That's great. Now I'm going to invite our panelists. I'll do maybe a last round of final ones, 1-2 minutes. I see my colleague Benedict is here to hand out the 3 certificates. Benedict, the IT team is working to promote you to presenter currently, and maybe Rana from the Women in Tech will come in to give a final word. So yeah, dear panelists, please, parting shots. Let's start from Comfort, Patience, and then Dr. Beatrice.
Well, I don't have much to say, but it has been a fantastic experience. It's been really great just sharing and learning from the other panelists. And thank you so much, Svetlana, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Women in Tech Alliance. It's been a fantastic opportunity, and I look forward to the various outcomes from this discussion.
I just want to also, Comfort actually spoke my mind. I really want to just thank you all. Thank you, Svetlana, for actually coordinating this discussion. It was really powerful and really informative. I just want to also encourage these amazing women and men listening to this discussion, that you have talents that people out there don't need. Please go for it. Make steps every day, make a plan, daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. How can I achieve them? Who can I connect with today? When you leave this discussion, try at least to connect with someone that can help you achieve your goal in life. It's really very important to have this, to become that person that you really wanted to be in life. And I really encourage you to be that, because you have talents that we do really need. And thank you so much for this opportunity and for everything that I've learned today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this important topic we discussed, and thank you, Svetlana, for your coordination work. It is what we think is the unique possibility of technology today. It is that we can bring education with technology to every place in the world, and vice versa. Every people around the world, wherever they are have the possibility to take part in the whole world, in the whole network of the world, and create their own business and get out of their surrounding and create something on their own. They have a chance to build up something great, something what their heart is beating for. And I think this is the great gift of technology we have today, and we should use this. Thank you.
Yes, great gift of technology. And now I am going to invite Rana from Women in Tech to take over, as also Benedict is coming to issue the 3 certificates. From my end, thank you very much, panelists, for being here and for your wonderful collaboration to make this, towards making this webinar successful. I've really enjoyed moderating and also learning from you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi again. What a great panel this was. I thank you very much for joining, for sharing your intense knowledge and experiences and all those motivational talks and the numbers and so on. Yeah, I'm extremely happy that we had you as panelists. But, follow us, ladies and gentlemen, because Women in Tech Alliance will continue with great subjects, great panels, and distinguished guest speakers. Thank you very much, Svetlana, for the great moderation. Thank you.
Thank you. And over to you now, Benedict.
Yes, Svetlana, thank you very much for having me. I also think it was a great panel discussion, and I think this discussion deserves a little gift from our side. So my name is Benedict Grütz, and I'm Vice President of the European Senate. And on behalf of EU Tech and the Senate, I'm very happy to present this little gift, our 3 certificates. As you might heard at the beginning of this webinar, in a little introduction, EU Tech is one of the world's leading tech network, united by this vision technology obliges. And we started in Europe in 2015 to unite European enterprises behind this vision and to help them to reach our 3 major goals, as you can remember: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. And the Senate of Economy and Technology is the exclusive advisory board of this network. Just to have a little explanation of the Senate. But as you can imagine, the climate protection is not only one of the biggest goals of the UN, but also of us, of course. And therefore, EU Tech and Senate are very active. We have an own climate action partnership, as you can see here. And I would like to thank you on behalf of EU Tech and the Presidium of the European Senate for your contribution, dear panelists, to today's event. We really, really appreciate this great panel. And here we are. This is what it looked like here with the European Technology Chamber confirms that a tree for Beatrice, a tree for patience, and a tree for comfort has been planted in Africa by EU Tech Climate Action Partnership. Again, we really appreciate this great panel. Thank you very, very much that you were part of this panel, and I think there were a lot of good points to discuss about further. And now that was already my short but maybe also important slots. Now, ladies and gentlemen, have a great time. Thank you very much for being our guests as well, to the recipients. And now, I think for the last words, I will give the floor back to you, Svetlana. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you so much, Benedict. And the two certificates will be made available shortly. They'll be sent via email after this webinar. Also, an after event post will be out shortly about this event also. So look out for it on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. From my side as a moderator, thank you all. And that is it from me. Look out for our updates, UTech updates on social media and LinkedIn as well. Maybe if we have other updates from the Women in Tech, Sierra or Rana, but from my side, it's a wrap. Thank you all. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.